From January 1st of last year to July 27th, there were 53 e-bike and e-scooter crashes. During that exact time frame this year, there were 84 crashes, and those are just the ones that have been reported to them. A woman sued the electric scooter company Lime after an accident with one of their scooters left her severely hurt. Colorado's second highest court has ruled against her, saying the scooter companies cannot be held liable for injuries caused by riders. Joining us to discuss that recent ruling is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, good to be here.
Really
good morning.
Appreciate it. This is interesting. So in this case, is it fully decided now, or are there other appeal options that are available?
Right. So and this is interesting. I always like to share these stories with the viewers because it's educational. So this is right. So you have the Colorado Court of Appeals ruled on what the Lime can and can't do, and you have that right to appeal there. So they can try to appeal to the Colorado Supreme Court, which is our highest court in the state, but they probably would not accept this case. They have discretion in that. So this is probably it, but I think they have 45 days from the decision. So they could still appeal it, but I don't think the Supreme Court would hear it.
All right. So although the court ruled the company is not liable, but can the driver of the other Lime scooter also face anything? Yeah,
this is such a tragic situation because this woman was biking and she believed somebody was intoxicated and hit her and drove off. Right. And so the issue was, so she sued Lime saying, hey, you're liable because this was a third-party user. And what the Colorado Court of Appeals said is, no, they're not liable. They can't be liable for what third-party users do. Right. So could she go after the driver? For sure, but the driver drove off, so they don't know who it was. So this woman with hundreds of thousands of medical damages, she had broken bones and all these other things, is really left without any recourse.
I think this is so fascinating because Lime scooters are everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere downtown. Yeah. People are riding 2 people on them, 3 people on them. They don't have helmets on, none of the things. And so I think this is really interesting. What precedent does this set now in Colorado? Right.
No, that's a great point. And that's actually what Lime used as its defense. It said, hey, we have these things in place. We won't, we tell you to wear a helmet. Don't have 2 people not intoxicated. And the argument in response is, well, that's not sufficient. But the court said, well, how much further could Lime go? What else could they do? Right. So, but what's interesting is, I mean, this is something that probably the state legislature or maybe even the Denver City Council will get involved in, because there were 56 accidents in 2017, and then in 2022, just 5 years later, there were over 500. It was a 700% increase. So it was, it's an issue, and part of the problem is, of course, this is the same thing with like the internet, YouTube. People try and sue YouTube, but they're like, no, we just bring the users here. Same thing, Lime's saying the same thing. We're just providing this. This scooter in and of itself is not dangerous. It's the person driving it that's dangerous, and I think that's a valid argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I know that they say you should wear a helmet, and you know, it says all the things on it, like you should do X, Y, and Z. This is made for one rider, you know, things.
Yes.
But then, like, you can't control people. I mean, there's thousands of Lime scooters and bikes everywhere.
That's a great point. And the legal standard, what you're really getting at is what's called foreseeability. And so is it foreseeable that people are going to rent them and carry on in such a way? And, you know, now we're starting to see that. So that may be an argument. And one of the justices actually asked the question, well, if we know the person's dangerous, let's say they have repetitive DUIs, should Lime then be liable? And the court suggested yes. They answered this issue in a very limited way. They said, just on these facts, here's what we're ruling. But they did say, hey, if there's red flags that Lime doesn't catch, that could create liability.
But how would you even be liable? I mean, what, are you gonna have a breathalyzer on the Lime scooters?
And that's the question. How much, so the business cost to do the research into, can we get an algorithm, a software that does some kind of background check that, you know, and they really point back to a 2005 case that dealt with rental car companies, because the same issue came up. Should the rental car company be liable for their drivers? And the court said no. So we have precedent, and that's what really Lime relied on. So it's a tough issue because really the question is, somebody was victimized, who should be liable? Right? And if the driver drove off, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I know. Very interesting. As always, Whitney, thanks for coming in.
Sure, good to be here.